Unemployment, we're talking about it earlier. Nearly 3.3 million Americans applied for unemployment benefits just last week. As we take a look at the market here, investors don't seem to be too worried about that number. I think they were more concerned about the U.S. Senate and what they did last night, that the senators went ahead and gave the green light to that stimulus package, $2.2 trillion plan. You can see the Dow Jones up more than 5%. The NASDAQ and S&P 500 both up more than 4%. Joining me now from the city of Los Angeles, I want to check in with Winnie Sun, financial advisor with Sun Group Wealth Partners. Winnie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's talk money. You know, I was watching a 60 Minutes piece on Sunday, and there was in a report there were individuals, people were taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash because they were so scared about what was going on. Should people be moving cash like that if they have that much, or even just $1,000, or should they be moving different types of investments?
Yeah, I don't think they should be moving cash around. I don't think that we're at that point where you need to be worried about doing a cash run. In terms of your investments, that's a whole different thing. It really depends on your time frame. If you're an individual that you're going to be retiring, or you're planning to retire this year or in a shorter amount of period of time, then it would make sense to speak with a financial advisor and check up and figure out if you need to reallocate some of your investments or your 401k plan. But otherwise, you see what's happened the last couple of days. It goes down quickly, but it also has a potential to come back quickly as well.
Okay, in that the bill that the Senate passed on the stimulus package, what do you like, what don't you like? And I know you probably haven't read it toe to toe. It's a big bill, but so far from what you heard, the bullet points here, what don't you like about it? Or maybe there's something missing.
What I don't like about it is I think that there's a lot of people that I feel like aren't going to be included in this plan. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who are going to, but then there's others who perhaps did well last year, the year prior, but this year they've lost their jobs, they're letting their employees go, they're at the risk of losing their businesses and their companies, but because they had higher income prior, they're not going to be part of this stimulus package. In addition, some people who haven't been filing their taxes, or they're in a situation where, they're just behind on their taxes. Are they going to get money? I think that's something that we have to yet see. Right. Because it's all based on tax return or your Social Security statement.
Some people, we've had stimulus packages in the past, and getting that $1,200 check at this time around does help families out there.
It does.
Is it enough? Is it too much? I mean, that's the debate some people have. I think a lot of Americans out there may say it's not enough to pay all my bills. But saying that, what do you like about this package?
Well, I love that they're doing something about it, and they're getting money to people that really need it. Really, hopefully quickly, within 3 weeks, right? So I think this is good because a lot of people are filing for unemployment. This will sort of help bridge that amount, so they're getting closer to, for a lot of people, the average employee makes about $1,000 a week. So it'll get most people to close to what they were making per week prior to this crisis. So that's a good thing. So they'll be able to buy medication, they'll be able to buy groceries, and hopefully breathe a little bit. And that's a positive because we need people not to panic.
Winnie, I have a friend who was early last month, when his family decided to sell their house. And they sold it, multiple offers, went and bought another house, had that done. And I was telling him, I'm like, you just did this, just maybe a week or two in time, because right now we're seeing a lot of people are taking the homes off the market across the country. If someone's interested in buying a home right now, what's your recommendation in regards to spending money to buy a house?
Spending money to buy a house, I think it depends on your situation. I think in most cases it's going to be hard to buy a house right now when you can't visit the house because you really have to hunker down and stay at home. But if you're in a situation where you're looking to buy a house and you're thinking, well, interest rates are an all-time low, then you could. I just would say the majority of people should not go that direction. I think unless you're able to buy a house sight unseen and you're financially able, in case this house drops more in value and the mortgage, you have to continue to pay the mortgage. I think right now it pays to be more fiscally conservative. Keep the money liquid, keep it there for your financial lifeline, if you will. Don't get too aggressive right now.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've seen what the Fed has done. In regards to cutting the rates, some would say they're just giving away money right now, that it would be a great time to take that chance maybe and get the loan and then buy the house. What do you think about the Fed's move so far?
I think it's been good, especially those of you who are sitting on existing mortgages and your rate is maybe 4.5% or higher. I think this might be a great opportunity for you to consider refinancing. The big caveat, though, of course, is if you have income. So you have to be able to show income to get a mortgage. Same with if you're going to buy a home, right? So are there great deals to be had? Absolutely. Like you said, a lot of people are taking their homes off the market because they don't want strangers walking into their homes right now and potentially contaminating the home as well. So I think a lot of things to consider, but I think right now overall I would consider refinancing, keep your expenses low as possible,
Hmm.
and keeping some cash on hand in your checking and savings account so that when you need to use it, you have access to it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been losing their jobs, unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks. But if they can save whatever money they're pulling in, that's why you save money for moments like this. It's a good reminder. When you look back at 2008, Winnie, I mean, when we went through that recession, I guess you could say it took about a decade to
Mhm.
recover to where we were just a couple of years ago, really to where we were just a couple of months ago. What do you foresee in the future? Do you foresee this recovery being as long as the one we just had?
That's a good question. I think what's interesting is that we fell so quickly. This is an unexpected experience, but if you take a look at back in history on when SARS occurred, right? The market dropped pretty dramatically over 3 months. It stayed down about 3 months, and it took about 3 months later for things to get to be a little bit more normal. Now, interesting enough, if you take a look at this market, it dropped so quickly. But also, with a little bit of good news coming out of the government the last 3 days, look at how quickly the market's also showing that people are feeling like at these levels, there's going to be some value there. Maybe bargain hunters are coming in. Some smart money might be coming in. And I think long term, if you have a long term horizon, you're planning for things like your child's education, maybe your future retirement, and you're in your 20s and 30s and you have the risk tolerance, it does make sense to look. There are some values out there. If you've got the time, I think there's opportunities for you.
All right, Winnie, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for the conversation.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. You are watching the Daily Coronavirus Update live from Fox. My name is Mike Meeback. We do this again beginning at 10 in the morning every weekday, starting on the West Coast, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast. Today is March 26th.